Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Reckless Paradise podcast. I am your old host, Dystro. If you guys have remembered, during one of the Shoot the Shit episodes that we did last few months ago, starting in June, that we're not going to be doing any more dual episodes, like duo episodes. It's because, you know, due to the circumstances that we have at our disposal, um, it is just going to be just me doing my thing from now on, and then Marissa doing her thing. Um, we're still going to be doing, uploading to this channel. That's never not going to go away. But for now, it's just going to be me doing Thursdays and Marissa doing Sundays and all that stuff. So yeah, that's just going to be what it is for now on. But with that being said, let's talk about, or we should say, let's get into tonight's episode. Now, we have been doing kind of a rivalries thing on the podcast channel, and we went over, HBK and Chris Jericho, Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose, John Cena versus Randy Orton and all that stuff. But I want to cast your minds back to the mid to almost early to almost mid 90s. I'm talking about Bret Hart versus Owen Hart. That rivalry, it's brother versus brother. We've seen brother versus brother rivalries before, like, Kane and Undertaker, or Jeff and Matt, but this was the definitive, like, brother versus brother rivalry that had, like, a lot of heat behind it. Um, I think it's a solid first rivalries episode that I'm going to do by myself. And so, since I am one of the wrestling nerds on our podcast, I figured I'd just give it my all and give it my shot. So let's get into this. So I want to fast forward to the 1990s, and there was Bret and Owen, the Hart Foundation, with Jim Neidhart, and you could probably say Davey Boy Smith at this time too. They're just coming off the clutches of like SummerSlam in '92 with Bret and Davey Boy Smith in the main event for the Intercontinental title, and the infamous like Davey Boy's he's fucked up and because he was smoking crack and all and dope and all that stuff with Jim Neidhart. But this is just before all that. This is after all that went down. So from '93 to '95, the Hart brothers had a growing rivalry that also included their family, Helen and Stu Hart, Jim Neidhart, and the British Bulldog, their brother-in-laws, who also joined this explosive mix. The feud between Bret and Owen lasted for over a year, which that's crazy to think about. And it had everything. It was personal, intense, and disputed on multiple battlefronts. So, let me tell you where it all kicked off. In November 1993, Bret, Owen, and their two older brothers, Bruce and Keith Hart, faced Team Shawn Michaels at Survivor Series that year. And this is like just after Shawn Michaels had turned on Marty Jannetty and did the infamous barbershop episode where he turned on Marty. If you want to learn more about that, listen to or watch the Dark Side of the Ring, the Marty Jannetty episode, which is a good episode. The Hart brothers had all things well in hand, and they managed to eliminate all Michaels' partners except for one key factor that Owen Hart got eliminated first in that match. While fighting, Owen crashed into Bret, who was walking on the ring apron after being injured. That distraction allowed Michaels to eliminate Owen from the match entirely. And then after the brothers won the contest via countout, frustrated Owen came back to the ring and blamed Bret for his elimination. The confrontation between the two brothers almost generated, but Keith, Brian, and their dad calmed things down. Owen finally left the ring under a rain of loud boos from the crowd while the boy's mother was crying. To send a message to his brother, Owen started using the sharpshooter the following week. He also started to wear Bret's signature sunglasses and outfit to provoke him. After Bret refused all challenges issued by Owen, they buried the hatchet for the holidays and after their parents begged them to make peace. Bret and Owen started to even team up again, and they bound a few tag team matches together, but at the 1994 Royal Rumble, they faced the Quebecers over the tag team titles. During the match, Bret sustained a serious knee injury, so the referee had to stop the match. After the match, Owen snaps. He officially tapped Bret's knee, and that's the infamous "I kicked his leg underneath his leg" moment promo. After that point, and he blamed for the lost opportunity at the Gold. From that moment on, the rivalry was ignited for good, and the fire lasted 1 year. So then, let's talk about the heel turn. Now, the heel turn was actually a pretty good heel turn. Owen Hart is better as a heel anyway, because you can tell, he has the aura and he has the mannerisms and he has the promo skills to be a good, solid heel. Owen officially turned heel when he attacked his brother at the '94 Rumble. The holidays' peace was short-lived. Owen had still that bitter taste in his mouth because of his more successful older brother. To add even more fuel to the fire, Bret co-won the Royal Rumble that year with Lex Luger, making Owen even more jealous. He was even madder than ever, and he made that clear. With jealousy between the two brothers as the element to set the tables, the feud was probably the most personal ever. The younger brother then even started to cut unforgettable and passionate promos to finally get his revenge. He constantly accused Bret to have done everything to keep him in this shadow. And if you can recall, it's during the time when, you're just starting to do Wrestling with Shadows, and within the last few years, and stuff like that, it's covering the Montreal Screwjob and all that stuff. So that's we're on better terms at that point. But this is before all that shit went down. Owen even blamed Bret to have him wrestle behind a mask as the Blue Blazer to make sure he would not even be in the spotlight. After refusing any challenge over the last few weeks, Bret finally accepted. Bret vs. Owen was made official for WrestleMania 10, and I'm gonna be honest with you, that was one of the best, not if the best, WrestleMania match opener of all time. It was 20, grueling minutes going back and forth. After the intense showdown, the brothers clashed in the ring for the first time. The Bret Hart vs. Owen Hart encounter became one of the best, not if the best, WrestleMania opening match ever, like I've said. After 20 grueling minutes of exciting back and forth battle, Owen pinned Bret after they exchanged sharpshooter holds. Because I think Bret was trying to go for a victory roll, and Owen sat on him and jackknifed, almost pinned him, and walked away with the win. Even the announcers participated in that feud. Jerry Lawler defended all of Owen's actions and accusations against Bret during the WrestleMania 10 match. Vince McMahon was the face commentator, and he sided with Bret for the whole feud. After that clean win over Bret, Owen got his long-awaited revenge, and it appeared to be the end of the rivalry. But that's not true. On the same night that he lost to his brother, Bret had a second match scheduled against Yokozuna for the WWF Championship. Now, for that, to clarify, since Bret and Lex both won the Rumble, it was earlier in the night, or later on in the night, Lex had to face Yokozuna, and if Lex won, he would face Bret Hart in the main event. But then, if Yokozuna won, he would face Bret Hart in the main event. He earned the right to contend for the title after he was the co-winner of the previous Royal Rumble match with Lex Luger. Bret's victory infuriated Owen and started the second round of their rivalry. While Bret was celebrating his second WWF Championship win and defending the gold, Owen sent the rivalry into a new level. To add spice to an already hot rivalry, the brother-in-law Jim Neidhart joined the mix at the King of the Ring pay-per-view in Bret's corner. Neidhart, who left the WWF in '92, made a surprise comeback, especially for this event. But if he was Bret's mystery cornerman, it was to start a plot concocted by Owen. Bret's former tag team partner came back to side with Owen, and both men shared the same jealousy towards the Hitman. Neidhart helped Bret to keep his WWF title by getting him disqualified, but after the match, Diesel and Shawn Michaels attacked Bret, while Neidhart left for backstage, letting his brother-in-law behind under attack. Later that same evening, Jim Neidhart appeared ringside while Owen was battling Razor Ramon in the final round of the King of the Ring tournament. Neidhart interfered in the match in favor of Owen, who became the '94 King of the Ring, and most importantly, it secured Owen a title shot against Bret at the upcoming SummerSlam that year, which should have been the main event, but that's the Taker versus Undertaker match that we do not want to talk about on this podcast. I don't know why, but it's just one of the best, worst matches of all time. In a memorable showdown leading to SummerSlam, Owen proclaimed himself as the King of Hearts, and Neidhart continued to accompany him at ringside. Both men went together in a rant against Bret Hart, always based on jealousy. They considered the Hitman did all that he could to keep him out of the spotlight. The rival brothers entered a series of confrontations, including a lumberjack match over the WWF title 2 weeks before the August pay-per-view. At one point, Owen Hart even started to celebrate his victory. The officials ordered the match to resume due to the outside interference, and then Bret Hart won the contest to retain. But now on to their second pay-per-view match, SummerSlam '94, and they faced each other in a brutal steel cage match. The Hart family was again in the crowd. Stu Helen, the Hart brothers, Davey Boy Smith, and Jim Neidhart were all there to witness the events that were tearing the family apart. Bret and Owen battled and became a classic SummerSlam moment, one of the best matches ever in WWE. The fact that it was so great that it received a rare 5-star award from Dave Meltzer on the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Only 4 WWE matches received such an honor since its inception, and shows how great the match was. For over 32 grueling minutes, the Harts clashed in the cage after another grueling back-and-forth battle. There was about everything in this match, from bone-crushing brawling to intense technical clinic, and from breathtaking aerial maneuvers to a dramatic ending. Bret retained the WWF Championship after he escaped the cage, while Owen had his leg trapped in the structure. Afterwards, Jim Neidhart left his seat and insulted Bret, thrown back in the cage. Owen and Neidhart locked themselves in with Bret to brutalize in front of the shocked Stu and Helen. The other Hart brothers and Davey Boy Smith eventually entered the cage to save a heartily beaten Bret. After that SummerSlam Classic encounter, the feud was actually brought to another level, but in the tag team division this time. Owen had teamed up with Jim Neidhart, and Bret was joined by Davey Boy Smith. Both teams collided in a series of memorable matches for the rest of '94, exchanging victories. In November, at Survivor Series, Owen pushed the rivalry into the different dimension. He cost Bret the WWF Championship by forcing his mom to throw in the towel in the ring. The match was between Bob Backlund and Bret Hart, with a special stipulation. Owen was in Backlund's corner, and he had to throw in the towel in the ring to notify the referee to stop the match in case of a submission hold, and the same applied to Bret, but with Davey Boy Smith in his corner. During the match, Davey Boy Smith was knocked out, and Bret was put in the grip of Backlund's crossface chicken wing. Bret was struggling to escape. Owen then asked his mom, who was in the crowd, to get ringside to replace Smith. No one knows if Bret was about to give up, but Owen begged his mom to stop the match while Stu refused and grabbed the towel. Helen could not contain her emotions, and after a lot of hesitation, she picked up the towel. Her mom's heart could not stand to see her son, Bret, in such pain, and she threw in the towel. When the bell rang, Owen ran backstage with a huge smile on his face, and then now more than ever, the Hart family was torn. Stu was upset and mad about the turn of events, and even about his wife, and what a golden moment. After arriving backstage, Owen was interviewed, and he could not contain his joy. He won a huge battle against his older brother. That blow did hurt more than any other battle could have. After the Survivor Series psychological battle, the rival brothers continued the unfinished business with some more matches, including a no-holds-barred contest on the January 10th, 1995, episode of Raw. Bret got the upper hand and trapped Owen in a sharpshooter, but refused to let go even after the bell rang. It took 5 officials to get the hold release, which that's crazy to think about, but Bret snapped, and he wanted to send a clear message to his younger brother by applying the sharpshooter once again. Owen was screaming in pain, begging Bret to stop. Apparently, he wanted to put an end to this rivalry and injure Owen for good. That's fucking, this is before, Bret and Austin and, going into WrestleMania 13 levels. A few weeks later at the Royal Rumble, where it all started 1 year before, the rivalry formed a full circle. Bret was in a match for the WWF Championship then held by Diesel. Owen did shoot one of the last bullets in the war against his brother by preventing Bret to regain the title with outside interference. The match ended in no contest. Following the Rumble, the war continued, but with less intensity this time. Bret ended it all by winning the next matches, and the fire between the brothers slowly extinguished, and the rivalry toned down, with both of them pursuing different goals. Months after, the hatchet was buried and a truce was silently signed backstage, like any brothers that had their highs and lows, and they came back together to form the new Hart Foundation. So in conclusion, as you could see, Owen versus Bret was without a shadow of a doubt the greatest rivalry in pro wrestling history. And I'm inventing nothing here. Even Pro Wrestling Illustrated gave him the 94 Feud of the Year award, which is the greatest award of all time. The rivalry had it all to be called the greatest ever. It had a torn family, jealousy, psychological war, brutal confrontations, and classic matches. If you still have any doubt, I strongly suggest you take a look at their matches from WrestleMania 10 and SummerSlam 94 and the January 10th, 1995 Raw No Holds Barred match. You should also watch the 1994 Survivor Series match so you can see a tormented Stu and Helen Hart as well. So, there is nothing more entertaining for a wrestling fan than complex sibling rivalry, and the Hart saga was the epitome of that. Now, I don't know about y'all, but it's like, the 90s had some the best creative sometimes, but your early 90s, it was more the new generation, Race Ramon, Diesel, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Owen Hart, Austin was coming in too, and all that stuff. So it's the 90s at that time, it's you have all these key players, and it was in good hands. It was in good hands while Hogan and Savage and all those other old heads, didn't want to put over any new guys and all that stuff while they were gone. So, if you can take anything away from this, I would highly recommend go watch this rivalry. It is one of the best, like I've said, it's one of the best sibling rivalries of all time. And it actually helped define the 90s as a whole. And plus at the SummerSlam 94 pay-per-view, like I said, this was the semi-main event, the steel cage match, which definitely should have gone on last. That main event for 94 SummerSlam was Undertaker versus Undertaker, which was so stupid. I think it should have just went, first or something. But with that being said, thank you guys for listening to tonight's episode. Man, this rivalry, I might have to go watch it back because it's so good. But I do highly recommend watching the WrestleMania 10 opener, Bret versus Owen, the SummerSlam Steel Cage event, and the even the '94 Survivor Series match too. But then again, thank you so much for watching. We do greatly appreciate your time. So I don't know what another episode I'm gonna have or what Marissa's gonna have going forward. Um, but do be on the lookout. So we do have our link tree at every video. We have Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Reddit, and also this YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching. Oh, I forgot to plug all the other stuff that we have going on. My mistake. So my gaming YouTube channel, at the time of the recording, probably at a little over, probably 1,400 at this point. I really don't know. Then the YouTube channel, the podcast channel, hopefully will be over 500 at this point. And my song of the night, I'm gonna go with Live I Alone. And there is a music video for this one. So please make sure to go listen to that group and listen to that song. And that's it. And thank you so much for watching and listening. And I will see you next week. Peace.